Oh boy, did I kick the hornet's nest today. And it's all about my reaction to this whole Jim Ryan thing, talking about how the Call of Duty exclusivity window that was offered to him in January, by the way, because some people don't understand how time works, apparently, how that conversation was inadequate at the time. Well, let's talk about what has transpired today, what was said, and dive in right now because it's quite the topic. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to know when my content goes live. I'm excited to talk about this one. So we're going to take a look right away at sort of what has kicked off all of these conversations today. And it's because Phil Spencer talked about a behind closed doors conversation that happened, and Jim Ryan did not seem to like that very much. Last week, Xbox revealed that it had provided a signed agreement to Sony to guarantee Call of Duty on PlayStation with feature and content parity for at least several more years, beyond Sony's existing contract with Activision. Xbox said this offer goes well beyond typical gaming industry agreements. The current deal between Sony and Activision Blizzard around Call of Duty is believed to cover the next 3 releases, including this year's Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. However, Sony says the offer fails to consider the impact on PlayStation gamers. Now, hold up a second. I actually agree that the offer is fairly generous, assuming that Microsoft could do whatever they wanted. If they wanted to make all of those games exclusive and they could have gotten away with it, a 3-year window is very generous, right? That's not what has transpired, though. Here was the reaction from Jim Ryan. However, Sony says the offer fails to consider the impact on PlayStation gamers. I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be a private business discussion. A private business discussion where you were sent a contract? I guess. Yeah, I guess so. I'll give him that one. I hadn't intended to comment on what I understood to be a private business discussion, but I feel the need to set the record straight because Phil Spencer brought this into the public forum, Ryan stated. So a little bit of salt already because Phil Spencer said, hey, we offered Sony a pretty generous offer in our opinion. Like, we're paying $70 billion. We can do whatever we want. They can't. But they didn't bite. So continuing on, he said, Microsoft has only offered Call of Duty to remain on PlayStation for 3 years after the current agreement between Activision and Sony ends. After almost 20 years of Call of Duty on PlayStation, their proposal was inadequate on many levels and failed to take account of the impact on our gamers. We want to guarantee PlayStation gamers continue to have the highest quality Call of Duty experience, and Microsoft's proposal undermines this principle. So it seems like Jim Ryan was not super thrilled about Phil Spencer discussing this business dealing behind closed doors. Now, if you haven't been paying attention to this channel or what has been going on, basically there were this 27-page long Brazil document where Sony is acting like a wounded lamb, so to speak, in this whole case. And a lot of people are kind of calling them out on it. It's absolutely nonsense when the person that's $5 billion ahead starts pretending like they've never done any sort of shady stuff. And just off the top of my head, I had wrote this down really quickly. Off the top of my head, what is Sony actually mad about? Well, they do not want to be more competitive within the market. Now, granted, I am glad that Call of Duty is still going to be on PlayStation and that it's going to be on Xbox. And you know what? I really hope that Xbox gamers and PlayStation gamers can now play together in crossplay without anybody having to play any sort of crossplay tax like Sony likes to implement from time to time. In addition to some of the other things that Sony has done, first of all, this whole coming at it like you're this weak, wounded lamb sort of thing, you're super vulnerable or whatever, it's just not working for you, Sony. So you need to like knock it off because it's not going to pay off in the end, in my opinion. You've also paid for Final Fantasy to be exclusive for what, 3 years now? 3 years. That's an interesting number, isn't it? However long it's been, I didn't look up the specific year before I recorded this video, but Xbox gamers were like, hey, where's Final Fantasy VII Remake? I thought that was a timed exclusive. Well, who knows when that's coming to Xbox. You also stopped crossplay for Fortnite and Destiny for many years, implementing a crossplay tax that I have talked about on the channel. Oh, and yeah, you're paying developers not to put their games on Game Pass. Because you feel it's competitive. And that's just off the top of my head. Now, look, if you want to play the game, if you want to be competitive, if you want to pay for Final Fantasy to be exclusive on the PlayStation platform, that's fine. That's a smart way to move content, a smart way to get people to buy your console. And I truly do not fault Sony for taking any of these actions. I think it's smart business. But don't come crying when your competition pulls the exact same thing that you've been pulling for years. Like all of a sudden, oh, we're super vulnerable. We only have $5 billion market lead from in 2021. Like, woe is us. You're gonna be absolutely fine. So the offer is inadequate. Now, what I keep hearing and what is absolutely bizarre to me is that people feel like this conversation that happened in January has a reflection on what the deal is happening, what's going on with the deal in modern day. So as you may know, the modern day status of it is that many regulatory branches are looking at it. And basically what I've talked to Hoag Law, and the consensus seems to be that there's going to be some sort of declaration that games will remain multi-platform in perpetuity. That is the result of it. So Jim Ryan pushing back in January saying, no, I don't feel that deal is adequate is honestly, I think it's pretty reasonable. I do find it weird that they keep coming at it from a position of vulnerability, as we know from those design documents. But Xbox has been very, very clear that they intend to keep the franchises and not just Call of Duty multi-platform. And the most recent statement was released, September 1st, just a few days ago, from Phil Spencer, written in blog form. So let's take a look at what was said. They talk about, I'll read the highlighted stuff. To reach billions of players where they are, and no matter what device they play on, we need to embrace choice. Giving players choice in how they play their games makes gaming more accessible and leads to larger, more vibrant communities of players. Choice is equally important to developers. Developers benefit from having a diversity of distribution and business models for their games. Choice unlocks opportunities for innovation and enables the industry to grow. Agree. We intend to make Activision Blizzard's much-loved library of games, including Overwatch, Diablo, and Call of Duty, available in Game Pass, and to grow these gaming communities. By delivering even more value to players, we hope to continue growing Game Pass, extending its appeal to mobile phones and any connected device. In doing so, we will pursue a principled path. And here's the kicker. We've heard that this deal might take franchises like Call of Duty away from the places where people currently play them. They're not just talking about Call of Duty. They are using Call of Duty as an example of a franchise that people are worried about PlayStation no longer having. So you got to imagine Overwatch, Diablo, etc. will also remain multi-platform, as seems to be the big concern for I'll be careful not to use the word foe, but the concern that I've seen online a lot. Anyway, that's why, as we've said before, we are committed to making the same version of Call of Duty available on PlayStation on the same day the game launches elsewhere. We will continue to enable people to play with each other across platforms and across devices. and we will continue to engage with regulators with a spirit of transparency and openness as they review this acquisition. So a little bit of a nod to the regulators who are looking at it. And basically they're saying, look, we're going to play nice. We're going to go the Minecraft route. Sure, release it on Switch, keep it on PlayStation. It's one of their most profitable properties. So sure, we'll do that with Call of Duty and all of these existing IPs. Now, I do have to imagine that future new Activision IPs would be exclusive to the Xbox platform. But the concern, the only thing Sony's talking about is Call of Duty. They're not concerned about all of these other properties that may be going to other platforms. He even says, we're worried about our gamers. You know, Jim Ryan says, we're worried about our gamers. We want to make sure that our gamers have their Call of Duty on PlayStation. It's been there for 20 years. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with those other properties, which they say will also continue to be multi-platform. Now, let me take a look at my notes here for a second, because I did write down a few things, and I just want to make sure that I didn't miss anything on this sort of ranty video where I talk about the news story of the day. I talked about how the internet seems confused about the timing of these comments. This conversation took place in January. It is now September, and Microsoft is knee-deep in regulators combing over this deal. Chances are there's going to be a decree made by Microsoft that games like Call of Duty will remain multi-platform. So that fear that I keep seeing propagated online, it's just not going to come to fruition. I mean, unless the FTC, unless everybody's like, yeah, you know what? You can make them all exclusive if you want. But even then, I don't think Microsoft is going to backpedal. It would just be bad PR if Microsoft just said, oh, okay, well, they don't care if we make Call of Duty exclusive. Guess what? All Call of Duties are exclusive now. No, it doesn't mesh with their brand messaging or just general messaging that they've been talking about over the last few months. So stop worrying about those games being suddenly exclusive. And I also see it compared to Bethesda a lot. Microsoft was pretty clear a few months after that live stream that future Bethesda games are going to be Xbox exclusive. This is not the same tone that they had for those conversations. They were clear about Bethesda games. Those are now console exclusive. Call of Duty, and I assume stuff like Overwatch that is currently cross-platform, will remain cross-platform. So that's how timing works. And honestly, from a business perspective, if they could get away with it, I'm sure they would make Call of Duty exclusive. So it actually is kind of good for PlayStation gamers, I suppose, that the regulatory branches will be looking at it, because likely a decree will be signed and those games will remain cross-platform. So that's good, right? That's what you wanted. You just want to make sure it's a good, fair deal. No, that's not what this is about at all. I do feel like there is a lot of online faux concern, and I have asked for clarity on why would this be bad? Why would Microsoft buying Activision be bad? Because Activision went out there and shopped around their company, and you think they only talked to Microsoft? You don't think they talked to Sony? Come on. They were looking for the best deal they could possibly get. They got it with Microsoft. They probably talked to other people out there in the industry. You got Embracer gobbling people up. NetEase is making heavy investments. Sony's making heavy investments in companies right now. This whole deal has definitely shaken up the industry, and it was already sort of shaken up, but Microsoft closing this deal will be certainly interesting. Or if they don't close the deal, it'll be interesting too. But anyway, let's stop pretending like Activision is just this beacon of purity or something like that. The company is basically in absolute turmoil. The quality of the people who work there and their sorry, I'm not phrasing that correctly. The way people feel about the company who actually work at the company is very negative right now. Microsoft coming in is going to allow them to unionize, everybody who has stock is going to make a ton of money if the deal goes through. If it doesn't go through, it would probably be pretty bad for Activision Blizzard, actually, if this whole thing fell apart. So you're talking about potentially just sort of going away or limping along for a while, because this would be pretty devastating to their company based on, I read that like a year ago, but it's that's according to Activision. They're like, hey, if this doesn't go through, it's not going to be good, which probably means they're going to fire a ton of people again, which Bobby Kotick already likes to do. Bobby Kotick could actually get kicked out. Phil Spencer said, I can't comment on that, but we'll be talking about things like that once the deal actually closes. So we can all have our little reaction videos to whatever ends up coming of Bobby Kotick in the near future. But anyway, they're going to be able to unionize. They voted unanimously for the Microsoft Activision deal to close, and it had to be unanimous. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been it would have stopped there, right? Microsoft is rated as one of the best places to work. It does seem like a lot of positive things would come to Activision and Activision employees if they were to end up partnered with Microsoft. So I don't understand the hesitance there. I don't feel like that is true. And then what else here? I think what's really going on are fanboys are just mad because they feel like they're going to be losing something. They literally won't lose anything. The FTC and the UK branch of government have been very clear that is their main concern, and that's been Sony's main concern, that they've been telling those branches that they're worried about. So likely what is going to happen, and what Microsoft has committed to, is to keeping those games multi-platform. You think that when Sony bought Insomniac, you know where I'm going with this already. When Sony bought Insomniac and they put them on Spider-Man, do you think they were like, I wonder if we could put that on? No, no way. They never thought about making it multi-platform when they purchased that company, right? And Insomniac is honestly one of my favorite companies. The crazy thing is, people still think I hate Sony or something like that. I don't really like a lot of the Sony corporate stuff that we hear about, but in terms of developers, they are top-notch, probably some of the best companies in the video game industry. You have Naughty Dog, Insomniac, you have the team working on games like Returnal. I blank on the studio name, but there's just amazing stuff coming out of Sony Studios quite consistently. And there's this strange fear that if Microsoft buys Call of Duty and leaves it multi-platform, that somehow something has been taken away. Nothing has been taken away except for the games that you've made up in your head that you will no longer have. And like, the quote I like best was from David Jaffe, who said, compete. If you're really worried about this deal going through, do something about it. Compete against Microsoft. You have the capital to do it. Stop pretending like you're weak in the market. You are absolutely not. And I get super frustrated when I see a company that is being tremendously successful. I love it when they do stuff like give massive bonuses to their employees in Japan. That happened last year. I really like hearing feel-good stories like that. You know what I don't like hearing about? Indie developers, when they complained about Sony like a year ago, that's the kind of stuff that pisses me off. On the Xbox side, when I hear about DRM locking people out for a week, and like, I still don't know if that is fixed on the Xbox platform, but hopefully, I know Sony addressed that. Like, that's the kind of stuff that nobody should feel good about, and we should be discussing. But you get into these weeds where you talk about like how Call of Duty would be multi-platform and somehow that would be a bad thing. I'm not with you on that one. And I have not heard a compelling argument for why Activision being purchased by Microsoft would be a bad thing. If you got one, let me hear it in the comments below. So that was sort of my reaction to this whole story, and I would love to hear more from you. I went 20 minutes, just sort of on a whim. So let's hear from you in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button, hit that bell. Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to probably do another video on this tomorrow. I know I haven't posted in a few days. I just kind of like wanted to play games for a while, if I'm being honest. I just needed a few days to play, believe it or not, Halo Infinite. I wanted to finish out the yappening because maybe that game will fix what's going on with multiplayer and I can have stuff from season 1 and 2 on sort of representing. But yeah, time's going to tell on that one. Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you so much to the members for supporting me making videos like this. I really do appreciate it. And I always like seeing your names pop up there at the end of the video. I hope you watch this one early or ad-free as a member and enjoy it. I'm going to get out of here. It's very late. I was at Disneyland all day with my family and it was wonderful. But I'll see you soon, everybody. Bye for now.